Let's take a look at this. Officials from the South African National Defence Force are looking for a man who was seen on social media with material for army camouflage. In a video that has been shared widely, the man claims to be an official of the military. For clarity on this, we're joined by Sandf Spokesperson Siphiwe Dlamini. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. Perhaps let's just play this clip for some of our viewers who may not be familiar with what is going on. Let's take a look, listen at this. Okay, it doesn't have audio, but basically we are seeing a man who is sewing what looks like Sandf uniform, and there you see the South African flag as well. Mr. Dlamini, is this something that you are aware of, and is this person linked directly or indirectly to the South African National Defence Force?
Thank you, Sister, for having me on your show. When we received the post of the clip, we immediately instituted an investigation through our military police, who are working in conjunction with the South African Police Service to investigate this matter. But we can say categorically clear that the member who is seen on the video clip is no representative of the Sandf in whatsoever form. And we are in the process of getting more leads to find out where exactly was this member and where they were operating from and where they got the cloth which belongs to the South African National Defence Force. The person in that clip is definitely not a representative of the Sandf.
What is the danger, sir, given that this person for now is not associated to the South African National Defence Force?
We view this in a very serious light, in the sense that it encroaches on the abuse of the uniform first and foremost, but more importantly, it's a security threat for any non-member of the Sandf to impersonate an Sandf personnel, and that is why we view this in the most serious light. And the Defence Act allows us to investigate and apprehend such members, and are liable for prosecution, and they could spend up to 5 years in prison, because we are the only organization that uses such a uniform, because we are the only organization that are allowed to use weapons of war. And if anybody is in possession of the uniform or any other artifact of the Sandf, it goes against the laws of the country. And it's dangerous, because people will believe that the person who's impersonating the Defence Force is indeed a member of the Defence Force, and yet that is not the case. And thus we view this in a very serious light.
Perhaps we could expand on that, because should then a member of the public come across, for instance, because sometimes you find that members of the Sandf will be deployed to civilian areas. Of course, that would have to be a directive that comes from high above. But should then a member of the public come across somebody who is in Sandf uniform, but it's the likes of perhaps this, right, where it's not official, what is the danger? What is it that South Africans need to look out for? One, do you ask for a person's card or identity or their service number?
Yes, indeed. Remember, when we don the uniform, first and foremost, that uniform itself is an identification of an Sandf member. But you can go beyond that and look at the name tag, which will be on the left side of your chest. And you can even go further and request that person for his identification, which is a small card that we all carry as our IDs. Should you require any further information on that card, there is a number of that member of the Sandf, which is called a force number. And you can simply call any of the Sandf units or bases which are all over the country to verify if that person you are confronting is a member of the Sandf. But equally so, you can report this particular individual to the South African Police Service, who then have the means to authenticate whether that person in that uniform is indeed a member of the South African National Defence Force. So we have our name tags on the chest, left-hand side of the chest, and we also we carry and we must carry our identity documents, which actually authenticate that the name on the chest and the name on the identity document are the same. So you are able to prove that you are either an authenticated South African National Defence Force member or not.
Okay. So I'd like for us maybe to play the video again so that our viewers can also hear what it is and see what it is that we see.
Come office. Hey. Kumasuka separate kumasoka sabato kweli ya 30 ku police. Za serikali. Kwa sababu ngezimene za atera ndipile kali ku training. Training eji. Ya serikali. Ku police training.
As your investigations continue, not quite sure what language is being used or what is being said, just on the side of the South African National Defence Forces, your service provider, are they allowed to film what it is that they're doing with regards to the uniform and share it widely?
No, not at all, Tutu. The Defence Act stipulates very clearly that even the people that we use or the companies that we use are not supposed to share or use the cloth for any other reason other than for the Defence Force, and there is regulation that makes sure that those service providers adhere to that. And I wouldn't even tell you where that the cloth and the uniform is stored and where it is manufactured, because it's a matter of security to do that. So it is unacceptable that we see such on social media.
How pressing is it that you find not just this individual, but those whom we may not see on social media, because we are heading towards the festive season, and I guess it's not called the silly season for nothing.
Indeed. One of the good things we have is that we have a footprint throughout the country. We have bases and units throughout the country. And in conjunction with the police, and there are some members of the public that have heeded our previous calls before, and they would bring this to the attention of all those members of the Defence Force in various provinces and various areas in those provinces. Should they see somebody or suspect somebody in that uniform, and they are able to report them in those units and bases. Let me just give you an example, sad as it may be. When we lost 4 members in an accident in Northern Cape about 3 weeks ago, members of the public who were there, they collected all those artifacts of the SANDF, the uniforms and any other thing that those members were carrying, and deposited in the nearest base, and informed the police that they had these belongings to the South African National Defence Force. So there are community members that are also playing their role and part in ensuring that the abuse of the uniform and any other artifact is dealt with.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. Siphiwe Dlamini speaks for the South African National Defence Forces.